There is a quiet force shaping your future long before visible results appear. It does not ask for attention, and it does not need recognition. It operates through repetition, through small, consistent behaviors that slowly construct the psychological architecture of who you are becoming. Most people focus on goals, visions, and dramatic moments of change, yet identity is rarely transformed through intensity. It is transformed through continuity. The way you think, move, react, and decide each day forms invisible patterns that define your internal reality. Habits are more than routines. They are signals sent repeatedly to your nervous system, informing your brain about what is familiar, what is safe, and what is possible. Over time, these signals become internal laws that guide behavior without conscious permission. Neuroscience reveals that repeated behaviors strengthen neural pathways. The more frequently a behavior is practiced, the more efficiently the brain performs it. This efficiency creates automaticity, and automaticity gradually becomes identity. This process explains why change often feels uncomfortable. You are not simply adjusting external actions. You are renegotiating deeply rooted psychological agreements that were formed through years of repetition. For many women, habits develop as adaptive responses to emotional experiences. Seeking approval, avoiding confrontation, overextending energy, or suppressing personal needs may once have felt necessary for connection or safety. Over time, these adaptive behaviors can become unconscious patterns that limit growth. They shape perception, influence relationships, and determine which opportunities feel attainable or threatening. Dark psychology does not only examine manipulation by others. It also explores the subtle ways individuals influence themselves through internal narratives and repetitive emotional reactions. When awareness deepens, a woman begins to recognize that her habits are quietly defining her standards. They determine how she spends time, how she manages energy, and how she responds to uncertainty. This recognition can be transformative. It reveals that identity is not fixed. It is continuously shaped by choices that often seem insignificant in the moment but accumulate into powerful psychological momentum. Subconscious conditioning plays a central role in this process. The mind stores emotional memories that influence future behavior, often without conscious awareness. These memories guide habits designed to maintain predictability. Predictability feels safe to the brain. Even when familiar patterns create dissatisfaction, they can still feel preferable to the uncertainty of change. This is why many women remain in cycles that no longer reflect their evolving values. Breaking these cycles requires more than motivation. It requires psychological sovereignty, the willingness to observe internal patterns without denial or judgment, and to intentionally redirect behavior toward alignment. Intentional habits become rituals of self-definition. They communicate to the nervous system that growth is not a threat, but a chosen direction. Each repeated action reinforces a new perception of capability. As neural pathways shift, emotional responses also begin to change. Situations that once triggered anxiety may gradually evoke curiosity or calm. This emotional evolution reflects deeper structural changes in the brain. Identity transformation is rarely visible at the beginning. It unfolds quietly through consistent engagement with behaviors that support clarity, discipline, and self-respect. During this phase, external validation may be minimal. Others may not immediately recognize internal progress. Yet the absence of recognition can strengthen intrinsic motivation and reinforce psychological independence. Personal sovereignty grows when habits align with long-term vision rather than short-term emotional comfort. This alignment creates a sense of direction that stabilizes decision-making, even in uncertain environments. Habits also influence relational dynamics. As self-perception evolves, boundaries become clearer and communication more intentional. This shift can attract new connections while transforming or dissolving existing ones. Such transitions require courage. Letting go of familiar patterns may initially feel like losing parts of identity. In reality, it is an expansion beyond previously accepted limitations. Neuroplasticity ensures that change remains possible throughout life. The brain's capacity to reorganize itself allows individuals to cultivate new habits that support emotional resilience and cognitive flexibility. This biological adaptability highlights the importance of conscious repetition. Each intentional action reinforces pathways that gradually redefine what feels natural and achievable. Over time, these pathways influence perception of opportunity. A woman who consistently practices disciplined habits may begin to notice possibilities that previously seemed inaccessible. This shift in perception can alter career trajectories, social circles, and personal aspirations. Identity expansion often manifests externally through new environments that reflect internal transformation. Despite progress, moments of doubt may arise. Conditioning does not disappear instantly. Old neural patterns may resurface during stress or uncertainty. These moments invite renewed awareness rather than maintaining transformation requires patience. Identity is not replaced overnight. It evolves through sustained engagement with behaviors that support clarity, integrity, and self-trust. As habits stabilize, emotional regulation improves. Reactions become less impulsive, allowing thoughtful responses that align with deeper values and long-term intentions. This regulation enhances psychological influence. Others may perceive increased composure and reliability, qualities that often inspire respect and trust in professional and personal contexts. Influence generated through inner stability differs from influence based on control. It emerges naturally from consistency and self-awareness, rather than from attempts to manage external perceptions. With time, habits begin to define reputation. Reputation shapes social expectations, which in turn create new opportunities. This cycle illustrates how internal patterns gradually influence external reality. The journey toward intentional identity requires regular reflection. Quiet moments of introspection allow recalibration and prevent unconscious drift back into outdated behaviors. Reflection also deepens self-knowledge. Understanding personal triggers, strengths, and aspirations supports strategic decision-making in complex situations. Through this process, a woman becomes less reactive to societal pressures. She evaluates expectations with discernment, choosing actions that align with authentic values rather than conformity. This discernment strengthens autonomy. Autonomy allows creative exploration and encourages the pursuit of goals that resonate with internal purpose rather than external validation. Transformation may involve solitude. Periods of reduced social stimulation provide space for integration, enabling new habits to stabilize without constant distraction. In solitude, clarity often emerges. Without competing influences, internal priorities become more visible, guiding behavior with greater precision. Eventually, intentional habits form a cohesive identity narrative. This narrative influences how experiences are interpreted and how future choices are approached. Such identity narratives can empower long-term resilience. When challenges arise, established habits provide structure and support adaptive responses. Resilience further enhances confidence. Confidence grounded in consistent behavior feels different from confidence based solely on achievement or recognition. This grounded confidence influences presence, body language, tone of voice, and decision-making patterns subtly reflect internal stability, shaping how others respond. As responses from the environment evolve, feedback reinforces identity transformation. Positive interactions encourage continued engagement with empowering habits. Even so, growth remains dynamic. New goals, environments, and relationships introduce fresh influences that require ongoing awareness and intentional adaptation. Ultimately, understanding that habits shape identity invites responsibility. Each action becomes an opportunity to reinforce sovereignty or to surrender to unconscious conditioning. For women seeking deeper refinement, structured psychological guidance can accelerate this evolution, offering frameworks that integrate neuroscience, behavioral insight, and emotional intelligence. If you feel a quiet readiness to move beyond surface change and explore a more sophisticated level of inner transformation, you may be drawn to discover the Feminine Sovereignty Protocol available through the link in the description. It is an exclusive pathway designed for women who sense that true identity is not found, it is consciously created.